I think we all have cancer cells in our body, you as well. That sounds so negative, but there is also a positive aspect. Having one or two cancer cells doesn't mean automatically that we also get a tumor. For tumor growth, there must be several factors optimal in the body so that one tiny cell, cancer cell, can grow and build in the end a big tumor so that that tumor also kills that person. I will give an example actually about this. I live in Turkey in a very beautiful city. I know a woman from Russia lives in our city. She invited her papa to see this very beautiful nature. The papa came, he was a 2-meter man with a lot of muscles and around 50 years old man maybe, and he was looking extremely healthy. Only after 1 month, this papa became ill. They went to hospital and doctor gave the diagnosis he has cancer. It took another 5 months until he died. He died within 5 months. It was a big shock. I asked myself the question, how it is possible that such a healthy looking man can die within 6 months? I will answer in this video this question that some people get cancer and die within 6 months. Other people survive 2-3 years, and even some people can cure from cancer and the tumor disappears from the body. And what is the criterion for this? That is the topic in my video. My name is Dr. Kylie. I am biotechnologist. I work in the last 25 years in my own biotechnology company. In my whole career, I compared cancer cells with healthy cells. And I compared the conditions under which conditions the cancer cells can grow very quickly and under which conditions we can suppress their growth. All biological systems make mistakes. We all have seen actually these kind of pictures, like sometimes children are born with 2 heads or with 3 arms. That are evidence that the nature makes mistake. In this context, if we discuss what is cancer actually, cancer is another mistake what happens in cellular level. Because it happens in cellular level, we cannot see it so easily with eyes. Just assume from a body when we take a small piece of meat and look under microscope, we can see a lot of cells. Just we take only one cell and under microscope enlarge it. And we see in one cell, here in the middle a nucleus. That is actually like control unit of the cell. All the information which is important for cellular activity is sitting here. There is a DNA sitting here. If there is a mistake happens in this control center and these cells start growing, that means the cell loses the control to grow, and then this change or modified cell turns a cancer cell. Now, there are also external factors which make cancer. For example, the sunshine is one of the most important criteria. Sunshine has ultraviolet light. That light, if it goes to the nucleus of the cell, to the control unit of the cell, within a minute it can generate cancer. It can generate a damage in the control unit of the cell. Or any kind of chemicals. Chemicals are actually in our life and their everyday life. They are everywhere meanwhile, and the more we are exposed to the chemicals, the bigger is the chance that they might also make some changes in the control unit of the cell. If there is a change, the cell is also changed and turns to a cancer cell. Another third factor for cancer are viruses. There are some viruses, and if we come in contact with these viruses, it is very interesting what this virus makes. Virus goes directly to the control unit of the cell. Don't stay somewhere else. Goes directly to the nucleus of the cell and cut the DNA and integrate itself into DNA. In this way, the cell is already changed, and this cell turns to a cancer cell. Now, that is the nature, but the nature is so fantastic so that nature knows that nature makes mistake, and there is also a mechanism to correct these mistakes. How it works? That is a human body, and we have a lot of veins. In these veins, the blood flows actually. In this blood, we have immune cells. The immune cells have the task to swim in every quadrat millimeter of the body and to screen for the mistakes. Don't you think it is fantastic? These immune cells in our body has only the function swim in every quadrat millimeter in our body and to screen all the cells. 30 trillion cells we have in our body, and these immune cells swim and screen and look if there are some cancer cells, if there are some strange cells. If immune cell finds one changed cell like cancer cell, immediately attacks these cancer cell and eats and kills the cancer cell. That is the so-called natural corrective mechanism that happens in our body. These immune cells are actually, when we translate to our normal life, it is like military police. The police don't do anything different. Police sits in car and drives the whole city actually and see if there are some people, some problems, and then if there are some strange issues or problems, police take them and then eliminate them. And the police for our cell, for our body are those immune cells. In summary, even though the cancer cell happens in our body is already prepared to correct it so that we even don't feel anything, and then the cancer will be eliminated in this way. And the question is here, what happens if we get older? It is the same when a policeman gets older. If a policeman gets older, he cannot see maybe very good, he cannot run very good, he cannot react very good. The same happens with our immune cells as well. When we get older, these immune cells who circulate the body, they can sometimes not see the cancer cell. Cancer is generated here, it is generated in the body, and the immune cells swim and they cannot see it. Even if they see, they cannot react quickly. And that is then the first point where the cancer cell has the chance to grow, to double for first time. Normally, when we are younger, our immune cells are very dynamic and they can immediately detect those cancer cells and kill. When we get older, immune cells who circulate in our blood, they get a little bit slower and they can sometimes not see. It is the same like partisan war people against military police actually. These partisan soldiers, they also hide from the real soldiers actually. They would like to attack the real soldiers, but they are not very strong. They are only 4 or 5 people, and they hide from the normal office. It is very similar to our normal life. Now, when we say there are cancer cells and there are healthy cells, and the cancer cells were also our cells, we should not forget it. They look the same. And they have the same culture, they eat the same, everything looks the same. And there is one big difference. This one big difference is the cancer cells, they grow very quickly compared to our body cells, compared to our normal cells. Cancer cells are like wild animals. They never stop growing. And for this high growth, they use all the resources in our body. The proteins, the sugar, everything what we have in our body, they take and grow very, very quickly. In opposite, our healthy cells, they don't grow. And if they grow very, very, very slowly. Think about when cancer is generated in our body, we are maybe already 50 years old. 50 years old man or woman don't grow anymore. Therefore, the growth rate of healthy cells is very, very low or zero. But the cancer cells are like animals. They grow and they take all the resources from the body. This difference is remarkable. We should not forget, I will come back to this difference. Now, because our immune cells, healthy immune cells, cannot see the cancer cells start growing, and then in the end they form the tumor. Actually, tumor, when we compare with the military again, like this partisan fighter, now there are a lot of people, like almost our army, and now it is actually two big armies in the body and they can now fight with each other. That is something like that. And when the cancer grows and then forms the tumor, actually first time we start feeling here that something is not normal in our body. But before having this huge tumor, actually we don't feel anything that the cancer is growing. Once tumor is there, we feel something and we go to doctor. And doctor recognizes we have cancer. Doctor tells us. But the reality is that maybe we had the cancer 10 years ago. They were only a couple of cancer cells and we could not feel them because they were only a couple of cells. And once it is a huge tumor, we feel and we get shock actually from the cancer. Now, once cancer is identified, diagnosed, and immediately we get a panic and the doctor says immediately start with therapies, with chemotherapy, with medicines, and that means actually it is a big open war against two big armies. The first army is actually the tumor, like partisan war people, and a lot of soldiers are here, and our immune cells who should fight the tumor. But they cannot fight. If they could fight, they would have fought already before, actually. And what we do, we get medicine, we get chemotherapy from the doctor, like getting external weapon from outside to kill this tumor. And that is then open war. Now, we ask the doctor how it could happen that from one tiny cell we could get such a big tumor and we even didn't feel it. We ask, of course, our doctor. And we ask the doctor, what should we do now? We do the chemotherapy, but what should I eat? What should I do in order to kill this tumor in my body? I tell you, the doctors, unfortunately, they don't know neither. What they know is they can do the tumor therapy, the chemotherapy, and they can give you medicine, but they cannot give you very much other advice, like, oh, don't smoke, don't drink alcohol, make sports, etc. But everyone knows it. Everything that I have spoken, now it is here summarized. That is an important slide. Now, one more time, the cancer cell is initiated by one single cell which loses the control to grow. That can happen within hours or minutes actually. One cell changes and then it turns to cancer. However, from cancer to tumor, to develop a tumor, it takes several years, sometimes decades. Why? It can take decades or years. It depends what kind of body we have, what kind of environment we offer to these cancer cells to grow to tumor or not to grow. And that is now important. I will come to this point in the end. That can take decades, and after decades we feel something wrong in our body, go to doctor. Doctor diagnoses we have tumor. We crash psychologically, of course, and then immediately start the big war with chemotherapy and medicine, etc. But once it is diagnosed, is already maybe too late, because this army is already very big and our own cells, immune cells, could not fight them. And once doctor tells us that we have the cancer, it takes a couple of months to a couple of years until we die. And this time is shorter than this time. Now, the most important question, why some people live years even after diagnosis of cancer and some people die after 6 months? What is the difference? And why some people survive? Even though the doctor says you have cancer, some people can really survive and cancer can be eliminated. What is the reason? The reason or the answer to these questions are given by Dr. Campbell, actually. He worked 50 years in this topic. In 1970s, he went to China to examine this topic. And then he was doing research in China for 20 years. His results he put in a book and then published this book. The book is called The China Study. And that book became a bestseller. It is translated to 50 languages and sold for 3 million copies. Dr. Campbell's key message I have summarized actually in only one slide. He says, cancer is reversible. It is very important. Reversible. That means even though we have cancer cells in our body, even though there is maybe a small tumor, it doesn't mean that we die. It can also develop back. And Dr. Campbell has very interesting talks in YouTube. You might look scientifically what he is telling is very, very interesting. This is my last slide and the summary of Dr. Campbell's suggestions actually. What he found is following. First of all, we have the body, we have the cancer cell, only 1 or 2 cells. And over the years, these cells can grow to a tumor. And then it will be diagnosed. And then we have maybe 6 months, maybe 1 or 2 years to survive. And thereafter we die. Or it can also go back. Even though we have some cancer cells, it can develop back. Everything is reversible depending on one factor. What is this factor? Whatever you eat. If you eat more vegetables, you can turn back. You can turn back this arrow so the cancer develops back. If you eat more animal food like milk, eggs, or meat, you can promote, accelerate cancer or tumor growth and you die quicker. In his talks, he goes in details why it is so. Actually, you don't need to be a doctor to understand this. It is very logical. I think we all know it as well. He says following. When we are a child, we need to grow quickly. For quick growth, we eat something which promotes quick growth. What do we eat as a child? Milk, egg, or meat. We eat. We need to eat because we grow. This food is a fully packed energy food with a lot of proteins, and all these proteins promotes quick growth. In opposite, the vegetables, they don't promote aggressive quick growth. And when we get the cancer and we are around 30 years old or 40 or 50 years old, we are not child anymore. We are already adult. We don't grow. If we don't grow, why do we eat food which promotes aggressive growth? If my body don't grow when I am 50 years old and I eat this kind of food, what can grow in my body? I repeat, what can grow in my body when I am 50 years old? Because I don't grow anymore. Only the cancer cells grow. And their growth will be promoted with this. In my slide, I have shown you before, the difference between cancer cell and normal cell is that cancer cell like to grow all the time, like wild animal. For this growth, he needs full energy, full proteins, and that comes from here. Therefore, the more animal product you eat, the more you promote tumor growth and the shorter you live. If you switch here to eat more vegetables and the cancer cells who would like to have all these proteins and energy, they cannot get it anymore, and they stop growing or grow back, and therefore it is reversible.